Hello friends, this is our second lecture on Gayatri Spivak. Her passionate cry, can the subaltern speak? Now we saw some reasons why the subaltern cannot speak, some macro level reasons. First we saw the definition of subaltern, then we saw the intellectual status or in the international sphere, what is the importance of or what position does Gayatri Spivak hold as far as international politics and international relations and the international approach to the subaltern are concerned. We have seen this. Now at macro level, we have discussed macro level, maybe general macro level we have seen. One of the reasons is essentialism. Essentialism means to suggest that all the members of a social class will have the same social consciousness. That is, social class and social consciousness is the same, one and the same. This is wrong. Why? Because social class may be one as a position, but social consciousness always is heterogeneous. It can never be like that. In the last class I gave you example of this 30 students here. As a class you are one, but your consciousness differs. Understand? So this is one of the one way of using epistemic violence against means knowledge is used. No? Epistemic violence means knowledge is used against the subalterns. Understand? Or silencing the subaltern. Second one we saw romanticizing. Romanticizing is another one. Romanticizing. That is, we said, oh, you are alright, you can do everything. Why should there is no need for me to help you? So this is what the Foucault, international thinkers like Foucault and Gilles Deleuze. Gilles Deleuze, the spelling is very interesting. Giles and Deleuze. This is the spelling of the author, but it is pronounced the Gilles Deleuze. That is French, isn't it? Yeah, we can't help it. It is their way of pronouncing it. So these are the two intellectuals that Spivak points out, specifically points out, who are complicit in determining or who are using the epistemic violence against the subaltern. So romanticizing, no, you can do it for yourself that way. So the intellectuals becomes what we call absent non-representative. That is the net result of this. And these two approaches, they foreclose any scope for a revival of the subaltern consciousness, or they foreclose any dialogue to start for supporting the subaltern classes. Well, there is no need. That's the thing. Understand? A third macro level is the post-colonial or the first world assertion that third world is the other creation of this new being called the other. Colonial subject is as the other. This is a new group of people, new creation, so to say, of the first world. We are the first world, you are third world. And third world are the otherness, alterity. Understand that? Therefore what happens is, always you have that feeling. You are given a psychological, a kind of psychological hammering on you. So they are giving a psychological hammering. You are other, you are other, you are the other. So you are inferior to us. Listen. A fourth macro level attack on the subaltern is the idea of third worldism. Third worldism. always there's a binary, first worldism and third worldism. Third worldism, of course, this is connected to the other, the idea of the other also. Listen, connected to this is the fifth one, obliteration of the subjectivity of the other, identity of the other, subjectivity of the other. See that? So these are connected, you can say. Other, then third worldism, then obliteration of the subjectivity of the other. So I say, you have no idea, just shattered identity. You know, this Baba, Homi ke Baba said, as a result of the mimicry, colonial mimicry, the identity of the third world people are shattered. It's a shattered identity. So we are victims of that. These ideas, episteme again, knowledge, the knowledge is used. R&K, research and knowledge is used for suppressing the consciousness of the subaltern people, or the subalterns. Understand? And another sixth point is that imperialist version of history. Imperialist version of history as the normative one. Normative means the correct one. Normative, the prescribed one, or the order of the day. There can be different aspects of, see, in the case of Indian independence struggle, 1857 Sepoy mutiny, in the imperialist version, it is a mutiny against the government. But the Indian version of that, you will see, Indian national version, you will see that is the first ever struggle for independence. So this is a knowledge. Knowledge is used. Listen, knowledge is used for this. Now these are macro level, we can say. General, it happens everywhere. This history can be applicable to West Indies, can be South Africa or Nigeria or Kenya. Obliteration of the subject all over the world. Third worldism all over all the colonial countries, people in the colonial countries or colonies. Then romanticizing, to everyone we can say like this, and essentialism we can say. Understand? As a result of this, what happens, you know, there are, when you say represent, the third world countries, or you can say the subaltern, cannot represent themselves because of this. Represent has two meanings. The German word, the meaning, again, the Germans use two words for this in German language. One is Vertretten, V-E-R-T-R-E-T-N, Vertretten. The other is Darstellen. Now, Vertretten means proxy. Means you represent yourself through a representative. Somebody is representing for you. That is Vertretten. Subaltern they cannot do. So they send a proxy. Like our indirect democracy we can say. But Darstellen means you place yourself there. And this is what happened in the French Revolution. French Revolution, they did not send representatives, but they themselves went and fought. This word, that is Darstellen means. Now in the case of, I hope you understand, Vertretten means sending a representative, sending a person, a third person to represent you. See? But Darstellen means you yourself go and represent. But in this case of all this psychological, the idea of other, third worldism and so on, no? That it will have the effect of a shrinking effect on the personality of the subalterns. A shrinking effect. So they cannot do this Darstellen. Means they cannot go and they themselves cannot go and present them. But instead what do? You use the mechanism of Vertretten. Vertretten, that means you are sending somebody else. In both these are not possible because of essentialism, romanticizing, and also the psychological attack and epistemic violence or epistemic terrorism that the first world people are inflicting upon the third world people. So this is the general idea, we can say. The macro level, how episteme works. How the epistemic violence of the first world intellectuals work to keep the subaltern always under their control, and also to keep their personality or their identity shattered throughout their life. Therefore, neither can you have a veteran nor can you have a what is duster. I hope this much is clear to you. Now we come to the micro level, how episteme operated is programmed in India, at the level of Indians, we can say. And this can also be applied to certain other places also, you see. But so far, what I have stated these points now, these are applicable throughout the world, subaltern throughout the world. Also, the females also. Not only this men subaltern, but there are female subalterns too, because they are under such exploitative narrations like patriarchal society. See that? Then women always should be kept under the control. Manu, the theories of Manu, isn't it? A girl child should grow under the protection of the parents. Then, when married, should be under the care and protection of the husband. And at old age, they should be under the protection of the son. So that is the theory of Manu. So these are all epistemic violence exercised upon the poor people or the subalterns, whether they are male or female, in the society, as we can see. We have already seen historically as well as present also, and patriarchal also, the patriarchal society. This is, in a way, it's a kind of domination that is going on right from the beginning of human, right from the beginning when the humans started living their life, their social life, we can say. Politics makes social life possible. So the moment when the politics started making the social life possible, this discrimination also. Inherent in this situation, you will find this discrimination of the subaltern and the superior. Or you can see hegemonic powers exercising their power and influence on the weak persons. Bertrand Russell said, his very famous statement is that the strong will bully the weak. This is the order of the day. You can take right from the politics, or you can say Greek thinkers. Start studying the Greek thinkers. They are supposed to be the originators of philosophy, social life, family life, defining humans as a rational animal, social animal. You can see that right from there, you will find this discrimination. Understand that? Okay. So in India, what happened is, now of course we are not trying to get out of it. This feminism, they have got certain organization. One such organization is called WITCH. It's an acronym, WITCH, WITCH. It is an acronym. It means Women's International Terrorist Conspiracy from Hell. You want the full form? Women's, that's very interesting. Women's International Terrorist Conspiracy from Hell. This is the full form. Again, those who are interested in feminism and extreme feminists, there will be some extreme feminists in this class also. So you can write it this down. Which? Women's International Terrorist Conspiracy from Hell. That is WITCH. It is an acronym. Acronym, putting the first letters of words together and making WHO, like WHO, WHO, UNESCO, and so on. So coming back to our Indian situation, we can see how the programming, the silent programming of episteme worked here. Now under the British, when the British were ruling us, what happened is, the first thing is that they codified the Hindu law. That is codification of Hindu law. So, we are now considering codification of Hindu law. We are now considering, as we say now, how episteme worked, or how the British government, British administrators implemented this epistemic violence on the Indian people. The first one is codification of Hindu law. You have heard of JDR Direct. So JDM Direct. Yes. So it is he who said that the very first legislation upon Hindu law, the very first legislation upon Hindu law was done without consulting a single Hindu. Look at that. So the Hindu law codification, but not even a single Hindu was consulted. See? And then Hindu law, as we have read, Hindu law operated on 4 principles. See, on 4 planks, or 4 platforms we can say. First is Sruti, then second Smriti, third Shastra, and the 4th is Vyavahara. Highly scientific, very scientific way of administering justice and controlling social life. Shruti, what is heard, revealed. See that? Revelation from God. The basis of Hindu law is revelations from God. Vedas, Upanishad, their interpretation. Smriti, what is remembered, is orally transferred. Or tradition, you can say. Tradition. Shastra means calculus, science. So based on that, Vyavahara, that is performance. How the whole thing was performed. You can see now how beautiful, what a scientific method was there. But the whole thing was changed. And then they codified the Hindu law. That is without, the question here is, the point we have to consider is, this done Hindu law codified for the Hindus without the knowledge or without any consultation or without any participation from the Hindus. It's one-sided. That is what we say, this epistemic violence. Understand? Then second, already we have seen this when we were discussing the mimicry and men. The second method of implementing the epistemic violence, the program of epistemic violence, is 1835 infamous minutes of Lord Macaulay. Lord Macaulay. You remember that, no? What he said? English education should be introduced here, replacing the Sanskrit one. That's the point. English education should be implemented here. What is the double equivocation? Mimicry. We want people who are Indian in color and thought, but in intellect and in manners, they should be like us. For what? Not for reforming them, but for creating a workforce to work in our offices and also in our factories. See, that is the reason. That's another episteme. No? If you read, if you get time, you must go through every Vishwanathan's The Masks of Conquest. You will understand more about it. See? So that's the second point. Now third is discourses. No? Discourses. That is, you see the discourses of post-structuralist discourse and ideas of the self. What is the post-structuralist idea of the self? Self as such has no, you cannot constitute your own identity. Your identity is constituted not by you. Your self is not constituted not by you. Your selfhood is not constituted by you, but it is by discourses. Whose discourses? The intellectuals of the first world. So we don't have we don't have a platform to stand. That's the thing. We have no springboard to jump or to dive into this sea of humanity with an independent selfhood of ours. See, that is post-structuralist view of the self created by discourses of intellectuals of the West. See, then fourth, you have got discouraging what? The Sanskrit, use of Sanskrit language. Edward Thompson, an English intellectual, Edward Thompson, he said, his own words said, Sanskrit is the language of the gods. I enjoyed reading and studying and researching it. That's what he said. Then what happened is, indirect way of suppressing Sanskrit education in India was introducing English. So that's another way of suppressing. Understand? And fifth is, these are all different ways of using epistemic violence on the Indian society and the Indian people to keep them under the control of the colonizer. Keep them under the control of the colonizer means keep them always as subalterns. See, under their control they had to. And the fifth one is rewriting of history. Rewriting of Indian history. You know, there was a great scholar in India at that time. His name was Mahabodhyaya Haraprasad Shastri. That is his name. Yes. Mahabodhyaya. It's a big name. He was hired. He was hired by the authorities. Right here, Mahabodhyaya. Sorry. Haraprasad Shastri. That's his name. So he was hired to rewrite many pages of the history of Bengal. See, we have already seen the version of history, the normative version of history is that of the imperialists. So the imperialist version, the native version of history was rewritten. The Tipu, for example. For us, he is a person who took arms against the foreigners, against our slavery, for our independence. But in the imperial version, he is an anti. His struggles were anti-government. See, his struggles were he is treated as a terrorist. So also we have seen now in a Bhagat Singh. For us, he is the great patriot. But for the imperialist historians, he is one who has done. He was a terrorist. Yes. Simple language, he was a terrorist. So that is. So rewriting. See, hiring Indian intellectuals and ask them to rewrite Indian history as the foreigners or as the Britishers here wanted to do it. Right. That's what Edward said, no? The Palestinian-born American intellectual. He says, his a famous phrase there, the permission to narrate. That's what he says. So you have to take the permission to narrate. Permission to narrate. So if you want to narrate the history, your own history, your country's history, you have to get permission from our overlords, or you can say the colonizers, or you can say the rulers, or you can say those people who are practicing hegemony and also imperialism on the native people. So Now this is what happened. This is how, these are the different ways. See, the circuit of epistemic violence, of the imperialist law, the circuit of the epistemic violence of the imperialist law, how it was implemented here at the micro level. Micro then is our national level. Understand that? And then if you read through the history written by native writers, you will see that Rani of Sharmo, very famous woman, in the imperial history she is totally obliterated. But she was one of the first feminists who, as you can say, inverted commas, who took up arms against the British rule in India. Where is her name? Her name is missing. It is not there in the history as it is in the version of history as it is written and given to us by the imperialists. This is what I said, the epistemic violence on the people, on the colonized people. And this epistemic violence works in different ways. One, post-colonial discourses. In post-colonial discourses, first world, the binary, first world, third world. Second, post-structuralist discourses. Post-structural, that is, selfhood is not determined by you, it is determined by discourses. See, that is post-structuralist view of the selfhood. See that? And then, how the social life. You will see that towards the end of the essay, that is, can the subaltern speak? She gives a very detailed description of how the practice of sati, sati, isn't it? When the husband dies, the wife also jumps or dies with her, jumps into that fire where he is cremated. Because at that time they had a feeling, or they believed that I am not justifying that, I am just telling you about this, just explaining the idea that is given in this essay, can the subaltern speak? And what was the consciousness of women those days? Why they entered into the funeral fire of her husband, etc. Very clearly described by Spivak in the last part of this essay, can the subaltern speak? Or subaltern as women. So you have to wait for that next 1 or 2 lectures. And that, please do not take it as my opinion, because this is the opinion of Gayatri Spivak, and how those days women as subaltern, they suffered twice or thrice or 4 times, not like men. If men, they had only 1 tier of suffering, women had 3 or 4 tiers of suffering, and levels of suffering those days. And even these days almost the same. Remember always this, what Bertrand Russell said, the strong bullies the weak. This is the law of the world. This is the rule of the world. This is the rule of social life. This is the rule of social interactions. So this continues. Can the subaltern speak? No. So more of this you can see. There is another very strong signifier as far as the subaltern, how the subaltern is determined. That is the economics. Economics is the transcendent signifier in determining the position and status of the subaltern. Can the subaltern speak? When we take into consideration all these historical forces, social forces, intellectuals, the maneuverings of the intellectuals, the hidden agenda of mimicry, that is civilizing mission, etc. Can the subaltern speak? But in the end of, you will see that the answer to that Spivak gives is a big no. This is the answer. So we will see in the next class more of Spivak's ideas on the subaltern, whether it is possible for the subaltern to speak. If not, what is the answer to this question? Can the subaltern speak? It is an yes or no question. So yes or no question has only either answer is yes or no. So which one you at the end, out of the necessity, inevitable necessity of the argument that is given by Spivak, whether you can say yes or no, that depends on the argument. This is only part of it. Let us see how are we going to proceed in according to the line set by Gayatri Spivak, one of the world's most powerful intellectuals to speak for the subaltern. Till then, bye.